Peace and blessings, beautiful people. Peace and blessings. This is Goddess Imani, and welcome to this episode of Sacred Love Lessons. When we align with the frequency of our desires, we attract them into our lives. In this episode, we'll discover the secret to rapid, energetic shifts, how to hop frequencies instantly, and spiritual frequency hopping practices. Is it me, or does it feel like time is moving so fast? There are moments when time feels slow, and there are moments when I feel like I'm on fast forward, especially when I'm having fun or I'm feeling fulfilled. Time seems to go really fast. Quantum leaps in the realm of spiritual frequency hopping are rapid shifts in consciousness, energy, or reality that occur outside of linear progression. Rather than gradually working our way from one frequency to another, you guys know I really prefer slow and steady wins the race, just step by step. A quantum leap allows us to bypass the in-between frequencies and land directly in a new vibrational state or timeline. Quantum leaping is soul level acceleration. This is often experienced as a sudden breakthrough. It can be a profound moment of clarity, an aha moment where maybe you felt foggy, on a situation. Then all of a sudden, it's like the sky opened up and the light just came on, and then you can see everything clearly. You can see the path, the way, the how very clearly. And you probably had a quantum leap. A quantum leap can look like a dramatic life shift that seems to happen overnight. Okay? This is the result of inner alignment, trust, and readiness. So, what is a quantum leap? A quantum leap is a non-linear jump into a new reality, energy, or timeline. It is a sudden embodiment of a frequency without needing to earn it through time or struggle. One example of sudden embodiment, now I imagine he practiced, I don't know. But when I saw the movie Malcolm X with Denzel Washington in that movie embodied Malcolm X. I mean, the look, the sound, the hand movements, the way he walked, he embodied Malcolm X, the energy of Malcolm X. He's a master of his craft, so I imagine that he practiced and he studied. But you have people in this world that can embody energy on cue and just embrace that and be that. So that's another example of what a quantum leap looks like, the embodiment, sudden embodiment of energy. A quantum leap is often triggered by surrender, deep choice, divine timing, or a radical act of faith. It is a collapse of the old self-image, frequency anchors, or belief patterns that once kept us looping in outdated cycles. For example, I had a quantum leap in 2019. Sometimes we call this the dark night of the soul. When you go through the dark night of the soul, of course, everyone's experience is different. Some of the common themes that you will hear people talk about and what I experienced is that everything will begin to feel off. You will feel tired. Your energy will feel drained. You begin to question everything, and nothing feels the same. You begin to see things with new eyes, different eyes, and I felt like I was in this abyss of nothingness, just complete darkness. If you've ever seen that movie, Get Out, that was a really good movie. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend that you watch it. But there's a scene in that movie where he just sank into this abyss of water and darkness. For me, that's what the dark night of the soul felt like. I began to question everything, and then it was like someone turned the light on, and then I could just see things clearly. And I realized that all the things that I had been taught up until that point, like my childhood indoctrination, all of that was a lie. It was all an illusion. And I could just see clearly. I just had this enormous amount of clarity, and I could just see, and I could see people for who they really are, not what I wanted them to be. People that I had put on pedestals, I could really see them very clearly. All of that, what I just explained to you, is a form of quantum leaping. We call that dark night of the soul. It's not uncommon. A lot of people have experienced it already. You can get on Google and look it up and find a lot of information about that. There are several spiritual frequency hopping effects of a quantum leap. When you quantum leap into a new frequency, you may experience reality rewriting itself. People, opportunities, synchronicities shift to match your new frequency. What previously seemed hard to you before becomes effortless. Number 2, you might experience time distortion. Time distortion is where time feels off. What should have taken months can happen in days. You may also lose track of linear time. And I experienced that a lot, where I'm always asking, what day is this? Or time just seems to go by fast. Like I might look at the clock. It might be 9 o'clock in the morning. And then when I look at the clock again, it's 8 o'clock at night. Like it just went so fast. Another thing that you might experience as a result of spiritual hopping, taking a quantum leap, is identity disintegration and rebirth. You might feel like a new version of yourself, more aligned, more whole, more sovereign. Another one is energetic detox. Old frequencies flush out quickly, sometimes showing up as intense dreams, temporary illness, or life glitches. I call them glitches. I know when in 2021 I moved to Mexico, and prior to that, I took steps. It was a step-by-step approach. And then one day, when it was move day, one day I lived in Florida in the United States. And in that same day, within hours, I was living in a whole nother country. I was living in Mexico. As a result of going through that quantum leap, my body had to get used to the energy shift. So when I first moved to Mexico, there was 2 days within the first week where I just felt sick, and I felt drained, and I felt tired. I needed to relax. It reminded me of the scene on the movie Ghost with Whoopi Goldberg and Patrick Swayze, may he journey well, when we saw the ghosts, the people, the spirits, the souls that were still there, jumping into Oda Mae Brown's body, and she was a medium for them. When they jumped out, the soul was extremely tired. They say it drains your energy because you're going from 2 separate dimensions. They went from 5D or 4D to 3D. When you make a huge jump like that, you can drain your energy. So that happened when I moved to a new country within the first week. For a couple days, I needed to reclaim my energy and rest a couple days. Another thing that you could experience as a spiritual hopping effect is spiritual acceleration. Insights, gifts, and inner knowing may awaken rapidly. This could look like receiving spiritual downloads or experiencing a spiritual awakening. Now, some people think that they are under spiritual attacks when they have spiritual acceleration. They may begin to see things. They may begin to have experiences with signs and symbols, synchronicities, like you'll see, 111 or 1111, 1010, numbers, whatever it is for you. Everyone's story is different, but you will experience that. You may notice things like feathers and leaves. You notice the weather. You notice nature more. You notice things that you didn't notice before. That's spiritual acceleration. You're going between frequencies. And when you do that, there are things that already exist. There's dimensions, multiple dimensions, things that already exist. It's just that when you're not on that frequency, you can't see it, you cannot experience it. But when you quantum leap to a different frequency, now those things that are on that new frequency, you can now begin to see, feel, experience all those things. A lot of times you will experience that on a spiritual level long before your body matches the frequency. You will feel it spiritually. It'll be in your spirit. It'll be a resonance in your spirit. We call that frequency resonant. You'll feel it in your spirit. You'll feel it in your quantum field before your body catches up. Keep in mind, the body is a 3D element, our bodies. In the 3D, that's where our six senses are. I say six because of intuition. That's where our six senses are. So before you get to the next level, those six senses will be the last thing to come online. First, you will experience it in your soul. It'll just be a knowing. You can't explain it. There's no proof. There's no evidence, no 3D evidence. It's just all unseen knowing. Then come online will be your intuition. You'll have these intuitive nudges that will guide you and lead you to a certain direction. You won't be able to explain it. So don't even try. Well, you can, but you're just wasting time. I would not recommend that you try to explain yourself to people. They will not understand you. People that's not on that frequency, people that's like really attached to the 3D, they are unable to understand what's happening on 4th, 5, and up. They cannot understand you because they're not on their frequency. And they're going to think you're crazy, okay? They're going to think you're crazy. Spiritual acceleration is a part of the process. Everybody's journey is going to be different, but there are so many people in this world that have already gone through this process. There are people every day coming online, every day coming online. And there's a lot that's happening in the unseen spiritual world at any given moment, all the time. It's just that you're not on that frequency and you're not tuned into it. That's why it may feel surprising, or you may feel fear, or you may have some doubt because you've been in the 3D world and now you're going from that to a different level. Okay? And that's just for those people that's on the spiritual path. Not everyone is on that path. But to all my mystics out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So how do you leap into frequencies instantly? Quantum frequency hopping requires energetic precision. It requires us to have focus, intentional alignment of our energy. It requires us to have clarity, courage, and spiritual trust. So the first thing you want to do is you want to choose with your whole being. A single aligned choice can be in time. Choose with your mind, body, spirit, and soul. This choice opens the portal to where we are going. Focus your energy on who you are today and who you are becoming. This steps includes frequency awareness and frequency identity. Ask yourself, who am I? And what frequency am I in? Who am I? And what frequency am I in? Remember, a single aligned choice can bend time. Number 2, disidentify from your current frequency. Gently but clearly detach from the beliefs, patterns, or stories that hold your current state in place. Ask yourself, who must I become to experience the desired frequency outcome? Number 3, feel the frequency of the leap now. Use your emotional body and imagination to live inside the new timeline before it appears. Frequency is a felt sense. We must resonate with the frequency outcome first. Okay? So your emotional body is so important. It acts as a portal to the next frequency. For example, you guys know I love to travel. I love to learn about people and cultures and different things, right? So when I get to the point where, let's say I go to point A, and before I get to point A, I'm excited about going to point A. Get to point A, I'm doing all the things that I should be doing at point A. And then I can tell when it is time for me to make my next spiritual frequency hot, when it is time for me to leave. We'll cover that at a different time. How do you know when it's time to make a shift? But I know. And so when it is time for me to make a shift, I pray about everything before I do it. I tap into my inner goddess, God self. That's who I'm talking to when I pray. And we have a whole conversation about the next step. And because of the alignment and the discernment that I have, I know, okay, it is time for me to leave. And now my next step is point B, frequency B. So then I take the steps to get to point B, but point B is up ahead, quote unquote, in the future. There's no future. There's only the eternal now. But for the sake of this conversation, that is the terminology that I'm using so you can understand what I'm saying. So let's say I booked my plane ticket and all of that for the next destination. Well, the next destination is in the future, let's say 2 weeks later, right? So now within these next 2 weeks, I am just full of excitement in my emotional body because I'm looking forward to, I'm giving thanks for the frequency that I'm on, for all of the experiences that I've had. I take a moment to reflect on my experience on part A, all the good things that happened, all the lessons that I learned, all the people that I met, everything that I've learned, everything that I've taken in. I give gratitude for that. I take moments of reflection on that. I'm also excited in anticipation for what's ahead. I'm excited about going to the next frequency and all the things that will occur there. Okay. So now I'm in anticipation, in expectancy. And that excitement helps to open the door for the next frequency, destination B. So that's how that works. So number 4, how to lead into frequencies instantly is invoke the present moment as a portal. Quantum hops don't happen in the future. They collapse into the now. Anchor deeply in the moment with breath, intention, or ritual. For me, on this part here, I have a traveling altar that I take with me everywhere I go. You can go to my Instagram, Eddie Money Sankova, and see that there. And usually what I'll do is wherever I am, I'll get a candle and I'll keep that. And so that's part of how I anchor myself into the present moment is I light a candle. And I do that every day. I say prayers, I say my affirmations, I send out love and light to people that I know and care about. So that is one way. You can have other ways to anchor yourself in the present moment, but that is something that I do. And then of course, breath work, daily breath work, because there's nothing like breathing that keeps you in this moment. Number 5, welcome the turbulence. Time might wobble. Emotions may rush in. You might feel like you're dying, symbolically dying, because you are letting go of oneself and stepping into another. What feels like a leap is really a return to who you've always been. This whole process is nothing more than you remembering who you really are. That's why we always ask the question, who am I? Who am I? When you ask that question, you're talking to your inner goddess, God self. Who am I? Because this process is a process of remembering. And as you go through this process, you will experience some turbulence. I haven't met anyone or studied anyone who said they didn't. It's been my experience in my own journey that I've experienced turbulence. That turbulence feels like time distortion, as we discussed earlier, and emotions may rush in. Now, when I went through the dark night of the soul, my emotions were all over the place, okay? All the unhealed wounds that I had came up. All of the anger. Anger was an issue for me before that came up. I was angry at people that I loved. I was angry at the fact that I had to let go of people that I loved. I did not want to let go. I was angry that I had to shed myself of things, of a life, a reality that I had created for myself that I was comfortable in. And I had to get out of the comfort zone. I had to take a quantum leap. And what did that look like for me? For me, it meant that I had to cut off a lot of people. I didn't want to do that. And because I didn't want to do it, I was angry. I was angry. I was hurt. And at the same time, praying for these people that I had to let go. Okay? So it looked like a lot of crying. It was a lot of crying. And I'm talking about the ugly crying. Then I started fasting. Moving away from food. I need to get back to that, but I started fasting, moving away from food. Anything that brought me comfort, I moved away from that. I sold everything that I had. I either sold it, gave it away, donated it to charity, things like that. I just threw it out. I got rid of everything. Okay? My condo, my car, everything, like just everything. And I just shedded myself all the way down as far as I could go in that moment. You know, it does feel heavy. Prior to that, the energy just kept getting heavy and heavy and heavy to the point where I couldn't take it no more. It was like I was being forced out. That's what it felt like. I was being forced out. I felt like people were turning against me and I was being attacked. This is how I felt. I felt like I was being attacked on every front, like 360. People were coming at me. People that I had been socially connected to were coming at me. People that I worked with were coming at me sideways. Family was, I was just getting hit on all sides. And so I had to retreat. And in that retreat, I began to remember something happened within me, something clicked within me. I began to remember who I am. I began to remember the energy that I came into this planet with. I came here under the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio comes with 4 animal totems off top, the energy of 4 animal totems. I began to remember the snake, that's the shedding, the cutting away. I began to remember the scorpion, that's the one that'll retreat into darkness, that's comfortable in the darkness, but glows. A scorpion glows in the dark. So no matter where I am, I'm still the light. I began to remember that I am the eagle, that I can soar as high as I need to, right? That I know how to regenerate. Then I remembered that I was the phoenix, that I am the phoenix, and that in any time I could burn it all down and I could rebuild. So I remembered that I had the power of regeneration, and I had to go through the process. It was not easy. Yes, it was painful, because my ego was hanging on. My ego did not want to let go. And it was in the holding on that I was experiencing the suffering. Holding on to people, holding on to things, holding on to stuff that didn't even matter. It was in that the suffering came. I only found the freedom when I was able to make the quantum leap into a different frequency. But in order for me to do that, I had to let go. I had to shed. I had to let go. And when I did that, that's when the light came on even more. So I have this affirmation for you. It's an affirmation for quantum frequency hopping. Quantum frequency hopping. I aligned with the highest frequency expression of myself now. I leap beyond logic into divine embodiment. I align with the highest frequency expression of myself now. I leap beyond logic into divine embodiment. The call of action for this episode is for you to choose a new frequency to hop into. It could be anything. It could be love, peace, joy, happy. It could be anything. Hop into that frequency and then practice maintaining that frequency until you and I speak again. So that's your call to action. Choose a new frequency to hop into. Hop into that frequency and practice maintaining that frequency until you and I speak again. I'll leave you with this final thought. The quantum field responds in the now. Quantum leaping is the soul's bold declaration that you are not bound by time, logic, or past experiences. Your presence becomes the gateway to the life you have always dreamed of. Embrace this sacred invitation to start being your most authentic self. Take the leap, land, and live a life you love. So that's what I have for you today. Thank you for listening to this episode of Sacred Love Lessons. I am the universe. Now what? Wherever you are in the world, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And until we speak again, be the light.